By the way, I do have intro music. I just haven't done it yet. I haven't gotten to that, but I do have it. Oh wow, this is all jacked up. This is all bad views going on here. Oh hi, hello. Oh hi. Hello. Welcome to the We Made It to Wednesday podcast. I am your host, Robert. I should do something with this cord. It drives me nuts and I hit it so much. Hi, welcome. Welcome to Wednesday. We Made It to Wednesday podcast. I do it live on Wednesdays. I don't know what this means. What does keyframe rate too low mean? Too low FPS. I don't know what that means either. Okay, I'm not worried about it. Who cares? I'm doing this all on laptops and cell phones anyways. Doesn't matter. So thanks for joining me. If you'd like to, you can join me on Instagram under TWELVEBROWN. Yes, that's 12 Brown. You can also join me on Facebook Live under Ronin Brown, RONINBROWN. You can also join me if you'd like to on YouTube. Excuse me, under Brushing Teeth with Robert. Ooh. Sorry about that. And this is also a call-in show. So my phone number is listed, which is 512-952-9489. I do not want to learn more about my FPS rate. I don't want to learn more about that. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure that I have this all correct. Well, yeah, okay, I put my call-in number there. I was going to do a polling question. I was going to do intro music. I was doing all sorts of stuff, but I ended up sitting on my ass watching TV and totally forgot until 3 minutes ago that I was doing a podcast, even though I prepared for this one. So welcome friends, family, colleagues, strangers, anybody viewing in. Thank you very much for joining us. It is very, very nice, or joining me. That is very, very nice of y'all to join in and say hi and see me and go ahead and spend a little time on Wednesday getting to hear whatever I have to say. That is probably complete nonsense, but it's very nice of you anyways. I don't know. What happens if I hit learn more? I don't know if I want to learn more. No, I don't care about that. Good. Okay, good. All right. Sorry. Facebook is telling me all sorts of stuff that I don't really care about. So it really is. I got to figure out all sorts of stuff here. Yeah, sorry. This is all a learning experience for me. So screw it. I'm just going to ignore all the warnings that Facebook is giving me right now for everything else. I'm willing to bet it has something to do with my internet. Only because it's so hot, it's probably burning up all the internets in the world. Yes, it is hot here, coming to you live from Dallas, which is actually in North Oak Cliff, which is a little tiny community here in Dallas that is pretty much horrible and like the ghetto. And there's a lot of gunshots, which is fantastic. But it is what it is, and I like it. So thank you for joining me. I've decided I'm going to do something a little different during August. I think every Wednesday podcast will lighten it up because lately it's gotten a little heavy, and I don't like that. I don't really like that. I don't want to get too heavy with things. So on Wednesday, we're going to do a different theme about movies, all right? Because there are so many movies out right now. And there's so many good movies out right now, but we're going to talk about movies that have already been made. Not movies that are in theaters, not movies that were in the last year. We're going to talk about each Wednesday of this week. Of this month, we're going to do a different theme about movies. And if anybody saw my Instagram, if anybody saw my Facebook from today, my post was movies you have not watched. So you might have watched them. I was being very hipsterish and very pretentious. You might have seen these movies, but I'm willing to bet most people have not seen all these movies, but who cares? I'm going to go ahead and throw them out there. We're going to talk about them. Again, if you'd like to call in, it's 512-952-9489. You can also tune in on Instagram Live at TWELVEBROWN. You could also, I got to do something about this cord. I'm going to figure this out. That's care. I like that better. There. That way I can put my arm up here and I feel a little more natural. You can find me under Facebook. I'm doing Facebook Lives, which is Ronin Brown, RONINBROWN. And I think that just about covers it. Oh, yeah. Also on YouTube under Brushing Teeth with Robert, which is soon changing. I just haven't done it yet. because I'm kind of waiting for the full thing to kind of happen. Like I said, I'm going to have intro music, outro music, the whole deal. I'm trying to do a thing. Just if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And if you don't, I don't really care because I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. So welcome to Wednesday. We all made it to midweek, and those of us that wouldn't know the difference. So thank y'all for being here. So as I said, I wanted to talk about movies. And this week's theme is going to be movies that you have not seen. And basically, I kind of ran through and I was just thinking about it today about like movies that I really enjoyed in the past that I don't think a lot of people have seen. And I think a lot of people should see. Some are really easy to find, some are going to be very hard to find. In fact, one movie on this list I've only seen one time ever, and still it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I also do like that there is not a big shine on my forehead. Thank you, Bridget. That's very nice of you. So so let's go ahead and get into it. I have 6 movies. I've done a little bit of research on them, but please, if you'd like to add anything, of course, I've thrown everything out there that I could possibly throw out there in order for you to get in touch with me. But you know, if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. And there we go. So let's start with the first film. And these, again, welcome to Wednesday. We made it to Wednesday podcast. These are movies you have not seen. My first film is a movie called Nebraska. Nebraska came out in 2013. And I cannot say enough good things about this movie. No, I'm not going to do it right now. I really enjoy this movie. It is a very, how can I say this? It's a solemn movie, but it's also a movie. Oh, look, I have notes. It's also a movie that, though solemn and almost plays into a doldrum and almost a depressed view of life, it still has a sense of comfort to it. Nebraska's awesome. It's basically about a man named Woody Grant. He is played by Bruce Dern. His son is played by Will Forte. Well, of course, his parents, his mother and father, are getting older, and his father gets in the mail that he may have won $1 million. Now, of course, he didn't really win $1 million. This is one of those scam things that, you know, he didn't really win the money. You know, it's one of those things they use to scam old people. And Will Forte knows this. And no matter what he does, he cannot convince his father of this. So he has to go all the way back to see his mother and father so he can drive his father to the city to collect this $1 million. All right. And I'm not spoiling anything by telling you these parts of the plot, because this is all known. In fact, there are very few surprises in the plot. There are not a bunch of surprises in the plot. It's actually a very straightforward film, but there are hints of comedy and grief throughout this movie that are surprising. It deals with a lot of subjects. It deals with, parents getting older. It deals with confronting your childhood and where you came from. And a lot of times what you try to forget about your childhood, or even where you came from, even your neighborhood or small town or whatever it is. It also, one of the things I loved about this movie is the entire movie is in black and white. And of course, if the name of the movie is Nebraska, it would have to be completely in black and white. And of course, there are like these long, drawn out, like picturesque scenes of like scenery and environment, with just almost this haunting yet comforting music. The soundtrack is really good. In fact, you could probably fall asleep to the soundtrack because it's got a sense of comfort to it. It almost has a Midwestern orchestration to it without being like country music. I think that makes sense. All right. So I really like Nebraska. It's a really good film. Really recommend it. It's it reminds me of almost like old Gus Van Sant movies, where they had like these long, sweeping, like moments of silence and serenity in them. Yet, that in that serenity, it was supposed to be depressing and boring, but you didn't really find it depressing. Does that make like you don't really find it depressing and boring? You almost do find it soothing, and of course, it takes place in Nebraska, so you've got these, long drives of like fields and corn stalks, and it almost looks like it takes place maybe in fall, like right at the beginning of fall. So nobody's really bundled up. You're not really in snow, but everybody's in like what you would call Nebraska garb, speaking of garb, I have to show this because I promised I would. Yeah, I'm wearing a Free Britney shirt, just in case anybody wanted to know what was pink and underneath this. I thought I'd go ahead and rep that, even though I do think she's batshit crazy. And so I'll go ahead and read. I know I'm getting kind of ADHD on my summary. So I did go ahead and I went ahead and had everything ready so I could read you an actual summary of the movies as we went along, just in case. Okay. So Nebraska is a 2013 American comedy drama road film directed by Alexander Payne. It's written by Bob Nelson, starring Bruce Dern, Will Forte, June Squibb, and Bob Odenkirk. Shot in black and white, and the story follows an elderly Montana resident and his son as they try to claim $1 million sweepstakes prize on a long trip to Nebraska. There it is. There's your synopsis. There's your summary. And I really enjoy this film. Watch the trailer, comment, let me know what you think about it. If you decide to watch it, please let me know what you think about it. I'm always open to I love to know what people think about my suggestions. It's a very original film, and Will Forte, as we know, if you've ever seen like Last Man on Earth, Will Forte is really good at, how can I say this? He is really good at playing a fish out of water role, which he does in this. Even though these are his parents, even though these are people he knew growing up, even though even though it's his hometown, it's the whole deal, he still plays it in this fish out of water like way that is really awesome and very low key comedic. There are times in some Will Forte performances, especially in SNL, if you know him there, where he is over the top. But this is definitely a downplayed character, and it's also a character of disappointment. It's a character who is, saddened by the fact that his parents are getting old, and not only that, but his parents seem to be losing their senses in ways. And I like that it deals with that theme. Because that's a theme that most of us have to come to grips eventually with, that our parents are going to get older and it's going to be a hard, it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a hard one to kind of, deal with eventually. So, all right. Well, there goes our first film, Nebraska. Please watch the trailer. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know. And then we have film number 2. Film number 2 is one that I think a lot of people have watched, but I have to include it on here because it's a movie I like a lot. And for those of y'all that are tuning in and watching this, there are some of y'all I know that only watch mainstream movies, maybe live in the suburbs, something like that, which is where your closest movie theaters are, which you're only going to watch big budget films. Well, this one is not, even though it is a larger, big budget film. It's a star-studded indie film. I think it's probably the best way to say it. It's a star-studded indie film. And my second film is Coffee and Cigarettes. So I already know that there are friends of mine out there that are watching this that are rolling their eyes, and I don't care. Roll your eyes. Who cares? It's a good movie. It is a really good movie. So Coffee and Cigarettes. I want to start off with the cast. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to start off with the cast. All right, because the cast is insane. All right. So it's done by Jim Jarmusch, which I already mentioned, in Nebraska, because it's, again, this is another black and white movie, which I seem to gravitate towards. This is the cast. Now, this isn't the entire cast. This is just some of the cast, all right? We have Bill Murray, Robert Benigni, Cate Blanchett, Steve Buscemi, Iggy Pop, Alfred Molina, Stephen Wright, the White Stripes, Joy and Sink Lee, which are Spike Lee's siblings, RZA and GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. It is literally chock full of people. Now, Jim Jarmusch did another one of my favorite movies, which I surprisingly didn't really mention and didn't make this list, which is a movie called Down by Law, which is, again, he really does a lot of black and white films, but we won't concentrate on that, even though I do love Down by Law. Down by Law actually introduced us to two amazing actors that come up in Spike Lee films and Gus Van Sant films and all that. Jesus Christ, I just mentioned Gus Van Sant again too. So it's a great film, and basically the film isn't a film per se. There is no plot per se. So Coffee and Cigarettes is basically scenes between characters having coffee and cigarettes. All right. In fact, I think there's only one person that doesn't have coffee in it. I think one person has tea, but I think that's the only deviation at all in this movie. And it's really awesome. Like, you have is it Tom Waits and Iggy Pop? Is that who I think at one point? Bill Murray runs a diner, and he has coffee and cigarettes with RZA and GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. But I want to concentrate on my favorite scene. My favorite scene is the scene with Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett's scene is called Cousins. And it is Cate Blanchett playing both parts. And she's basically playing what seems like cousins that don't get together that often, that meet up in a hotel and just have coffee and cigarettes. And it got me to thinking about family dynamics, because I know a lot of families have dynamics where there is a competitive nature. That's a good explanation of Will Forte. Thank you very much, Sean. I just got a message. That was a message on Facebook. Yeah, you can also message me through Facebook, message me through Instagram, or even on YouTube. It's Cate Blanchett playing two characters, and they meet in a hotel room, and you can tell that they love each other, but there's still a competitive edge to them. There's almost a hint of animosity, and it's so funny because I think we all have that cousin, or that brother or sister or somebody in our family, or a niece, whatever, where we love each other. We show each other we love each other. We would do anything for each other, but we just there's still this kind of hint of animosity to our relationship. And it's played so well by Cate Blanchett and Cate Blanchett. It's my favorite scene in the entire movie. You forget that it's Cate Blanchett and Cate Blanchett. You really do. I mean, one woman does look like her with the blonde hair and looks a lot like her. And then the other cousin that she's playing, though, is still her and has a lot of her mannerisms, is dressed so differently and has such a different inflection to her voice that you start to forget. You start to forget you're watching one person play these both parts. And Also the ups and downs of the conversation, the ins and outs. It's almost like they're sparring during the conversation. I so just see coffee and cigarettes. See that I can tell I yelled a lot today because I can hear it in my throat as I'm talking. it There's this almost hoarse quality to my voice. I can tell. Um, but you should really see it. Interesting um, tidbit about coffee and cigarettes. They did the anniversary during South by Southwest in Austin of the film, and during the anniversary, um, they of course had Bill Murray and the Wu Tang Clan there, and all sorts of different people from the movie. Well, during that. Of course, it's South by Southwest, so everybody's getting together. Well, I'm at Shangri-La with a bunch of friends one night. In the door walks Bill Murray and the Wu-Tang Clan. And they proceed to, of course, the place goes insane. And this was like 12:30 at night. And they walk in and proceed to take over the bar. Bill Murray starts to bartend, in which no matter what anybody ordered, he gave them tequila. That went on for about 45 minutes to an hour until it just got insane and everybody left. Um, so that is a funny little tidbit about that stupid movie. But it's a great movie. Coffee and Cigarettes. You should see it. I like it. I think it's worth seeing. All right. So let's move on to movie number 3. All right. So this movie, I'm positive a lot of people have not seen. So I just want to say that when I saw this movie, I saw this movie in the movie theater. And when I saw this movie in the movie theater, when the movie ended, the audience that I was watching the movie with, and I'd mentioned this the other day about watching Oppenheimer and how I like listening to or hearing the reactions of the audience, right? Um, and when the movie ended, there was a actual palatable, audible groan because of the way that the movie ended from the audience. Like the audience around me groaned. I stood up, turned, and went, "Are you kidding me? That was a great movie." Like I was mad. I got mad at the audience for groaning during the after the end of the movie. Um, I don't know what this means on Facebook. But I love this movie. I really like this movie. And in fact, this director has a new movie coming out very shortly that has Emma Stone in it. And let's see if I can see what it's called. So the movie I'm talking about is called. Oh dang, he did a lot. I didn't even realize he did this. It's called The Lobster. I love The Lobster. The Lobster is a great movie. It's a really good movie. So the movie stars Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz. Also, you have Olivia Colman and John C. Riley is in it. Ariane Labette is in it. It's a very interesting movie. All right, and so I will read from the Wikipedia, which it goes, the film follows a newly single bachelor who moves into a hotel with other singletons who are all obliged to find a romantic partner in 45 days or else be transformed into animals. That's really what it's about. So basically, it's in a dystopian future and or a dystopian parallel universe in which if you are only allowed to be single for a certain amount of time. You have to be with a partner. So if it's starting to get to the time in which you have not found a partner, they move you into a hotel with other singles. And if you do not find a partner in that hotel within 45 days, you get turned into the animal of your choice. Now, during this time, there are these exercises and there are these different things they do in order to. Emma Stone is my future wife. Thank you for saying that. That's good. I'll let her know. All right. I don't know if I like super skinny Emma Stone. I think I liked what was that one? What was the one where it was supposed to be like the Scarlet Letter? I can't remember what it was called. I like thicker Emma Stone. I don't know if I like really thin Emma Stone, but I'll tell you this: she's only gotten better as an actress. She really has gotten better and better and better as an actress. So I just got a thumbs down walking through the front room. The Lobster is really, really neat. And in fact, one of the things I really liked about The Lobster, first of all, the absurdity. It's an absurd premise. It's absolutely an unbelievably absurd premise. But with that premise, it is so interesting. And Colin Farrell has always been a great actor. I mean, I can't really name much that he hasn't done well. I even like the True Detective, the season of True Detectives on HBO that he did. I thought it was a great season. I've always really liked. I dressed up as him for Halloween one year. That's how much I like Colin Farrell. But this movie, in its absurdist humor, has this one thing about it that I liked a lot. So you come to find out, so Colin Farrell has a dog with him, and you come to find out that his dog is actually his brother. And so his brother, he has chosen to take care of his brother because his brother also, I guess, never found a partner. Never really gets into it in super detail, but you do find out that it's his brother. So through, your powers of deduction, you come to realize that his brother also could not find a partner. His brother got turned into a dog, and now he's the caregiver of his brother. And it's sweet. And it's very sweet, but you should watch out for it when you watch the movie because there is a situation that catches you off guard. So be careful and tread lightly when watching this movie. It's not the easiest movie. Now, the director, his name is Yorgos Lanthimos. He is Greek, and go figure. And in his movies, even with the absurdity of his movies, there is always this underlying sadness and tragedy that is rough. It's very, very rough. This movie deals a lot with loneliness and social awkwardness. And it also deals a lot, of course, with dating culture and the ability to reinvent yourself or to even find yourself in time to have a partner. It deals with time constraints. It deals with time constraints and social time constraints of being an acceptable person in society. I like the movie. I do. I've seen, now that I look through the guys, the director and writers' filmographies, I'm realizing I've seen a lot of their movies, and there's not one I really did not like. So I do suggest it. It's called The Lobster. It's great, and it's probably a movie a lot of y'all have not seen. I guess I should go reiterate. This would be the time I reiterate now. Which thank you for watching the We Made It to Wednesday podcast. You can find me on Instagram Live at TWELVEBROWN. You can find me on Facebook under RONINBROWN. That is Ronan Brown. And you can find me on YouTube. And feel free, if you're listening, you can feel free to call in. The phone number is 512-952-9489. And if you have any questions, comments, want a piece of advice of a movie to watch or something like that, feel free. I'm here, open, able to listen. All right. That moves us on to our next film. Okay. Our next film this is the movie I have seen one time. I saw this movie one time in, I believe it was think real quick. Maybe 91, maybe 90. I saw this movie in a little art house theater. I've only seen it one time. I've never seen it again. And it is one of my favorite movies. It is one of my favorite films in the entire world. I remember the plot. I remember the characters. I remember certain scenes of the movie that were striking. That's how good this movie was. All right. This movie is called Drowning by Numbers. Drowning by Numbers stars Juliet Stevenson, Joan Plowright, Jolie Richardson, which all y'all will recognize Jolie Richardson immediately. Her and Joan Plowright, y'all will absolutely recognize. The film is done by Peter Greenaway, who is also very famous for doing The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which I love that movie so much. I really like that movie. Like I like The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. I think it's a great film. And if you've seen that movie, this was his first movie. So you're going to see hints of all the movies he's ever done in this movie. The score, the environment, the almost absurdist dialogue and conversation, yet maintaining a very realistic plot and a very good A, B, C, protagonist, antagonist, plot line. It's so good. It's so good. So basically, on an island, a wife murders her husband by drowning. Now, her husband can't swim. So they go out in a boat. Allegedly, they go on a boat and he goes for a swim and drowns. The male lead in the movie is part of the magistrate and is in charge of trying to find out they should convict her of a crime. They should convict her of the crime of murder. He is a single father raising a child on his own. And how can I say this? The movie really centers more around the inhabitants of the island and their ability to cope with a murder possibly that has happened around them, yet still accepting everybody into their island society. That's the best I can put it. It's such a hard plot to describe. It's very hard to describe because there are so many different factions. There are so many different factors in it that kind of spring off. But above all things in this movie, not above all things, because I want to get to the relationship part of it last. The score and the cinematography are stunning. They are stunning in this movie. The way it's shot, the colors, especially the night views. And if you've seen The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, you'll know that movie, it almost always takes place at night, which in Peter Greenaway's films, you'll notice that night plays a big part in those films. Almost all of his films, night is kind of the leading environment. It is almost the leading time in which the plot progresses. The night scenery and the night dialogue, and it's just really, really stunning. Along with the score, because his score is very anticipatory. It's tense. It's melodically tense. So it doesn't give you a sense of anxiety, but it does give you a sense of wanting or almost like looking around the corner in a wanting way. I love this film, even though I've only seen it one time. I've only seen it one time. I just noticed it's on YouTube, so I can watch on YouTube. But before the internet, you could only get it on VHS. You could not find it on DVD anywhere. It wasn't even possible. I knew one video store called I Love Video in Austin. I don't even know if they're still around. And they had it on VHS, and they knew everything about film. Like, you had to take a test to work there, and they didn't even know if it was ever coming out on DVD. So it's nice to see that I can actually stream it, because I probably will. I don't know though. Here's the thing. I'm conflicted. because I don't know if I want to watch it again. I think I like that it just lives in my memory from watching it that one time. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. I think that I don't want to ruin the memory of it. I know if I watch it again, I know it's going to be good. But I don't know if it's going to be as, how can I say that? No. The circumstances of my life and where I was in my life when I saw the film played a pivotal role in my interpretation of the movie. Now, do I think the movie is going to be as good? Absolutely. Do I think I'm going to feel the same for it? I don't think so. And I think that might ruin my experience. So I may never watch it again. There is a good possibility I may never watch this movie again, even though I've only seen it once. Let's see. Paul commented on Facebook, I have never seen a Harry Potter. Wait a second. You got to retype that. Are you telling me you've never seen a Harry Potter movie? I have to know if this is really true. Okay, you have seen Gummo. So I didn't put Gummo on the list. And the reason I didn't put Gummo on the list is because I don't really like Gummo. Even though I like kids, Gummo wasn't really, I didn't really enjoy Gummo. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't really enjoy kids either. I know you're looking at me disbelief. I'm trying to get him to retype it. You have to come read this because I can't really decipher. Paul, if you're type it again. I have never seen a Harry Potter movie hit. I have seen. I think he's writing. I've never seen a Harry Potter movie, but I have seen Gummo. That's not possible. Oh, he has not never seen a single Harry Potter movie. Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. Okay. We have a first on the podcast. We have a first. We have a mind-blowing first. It's disturbing me too. Yeah, Gummo's disturbing. Gummo's disturbing. Now, what's that guy's name? Who did Gummo and Kids? What's his name again? Bridget. What's that kid's name who did Kids and Gummo? I can't remember his name. Gummo was disturbing. Kids is disturbing too. He just liked doing those kind of movies, and I think after watching Kids and after watching Gummo, I didn't need to see any more of his films because I already knew what he was going to do. He just likes putting young people. Oh, I take that back. I did watch Spring Breakers. He's the same guy that did Spring Breakers. I did watch Spring, but that was for a whole different reason. That was for a whole different reason that I watched Spring Breakers. I worked at TRF for 20 years too, on stage as well. Oh, okay. All right. So here's the deal. I can't believe you haven't seen a Harry Potter film. I don't know why you haven't, because I know you go to Renfest. I know you're that guy who goes to Renfest. So that thing, like, it would be right up your alley. Isn't that what Renfest people like, right? See, right? It's like, I would, So, but I will say this. I love the films. We actually just went right through them last week, as a matter of fact. I like them. And I did not think I was going to like the Harry Potter movies. Oh, I like Spring Breakers. Yeah, I like Spring Breakers. I suggest watching Spring Breakers. I thought it was all right. I mean, it's, you're an anomaly. You are. That is kind of an anomaly thing. Yeah, it is. I would say don't take your feet out of the quicksand on that one, because they're fun to watch. They're fun. They're really, really fun movies, and it's a really fun story. And I'd watch it now before HBO remakes it, because HBO is about to fuck it up. They fuck up everything. You can't remake something like that. You just can't do it. It doesn't matter whether it stays true to books or whatever it is. Those kids, that cast was too good for those movies. You can't remake them. You're not going to find anybody else, I know you used to go to. I know you used to do Renfest. You do Renfest a lot. You and Oh, what the heck is that dude's name? The blonde guy who lived in our neighborhood. This shows you how stupid I am. We were really good friends with him. I did a school project with him where we did Dolomite. I can't remember his name. So I would say watch the Harry Potter movies. Even though I'm listing movies you have not seen, go see the Harry Potter movies. They're a lot of fun. All right, they really are. All right, so we're going to get back to drowning by numbers. I just want to close out the drowning by numbers segment by saying this: these are the underlying themes I like about drowning by numbers. Drowning by numbers deals with a bunch of different topics. It deals with gender relationships. It deals with lust. It deals with puberty. It deals with love, betrayal. We already know Peter Greenaway was really good at the lust theme. He was very, very, very good. Oh, Russell. Oh, I just got a comment. You were one of the first people to come to my defense in ninth grade. Well, I became an asshole later in life, so you shouldn't have mentioned cards on that. But I'm glad I did, Paul. You were always great, and you lived right down the street from me. So, but Drowning by Numbers is great. I highly recommend it. I did notice you can stream it now, and you should see it. If you're really into cinematography, Peter Greenaway is always the way to go. He's really good at set design. And also, didn't Jean-Paul Gaultier help with The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, right? Isn't that right? Gaultier. Okay. Thank you for correcting me on that. Okay. So, now we're going to go ahead and we've got two very, very deep cuts here to end this out with. By the way, thank you for watching the We Made It to Wednesday podcast. You can find me on Instagram under 12 Brown. That's TWELVEBROWN. I thank everybody for watching on Facebook at Ronin Brown. That's RONINBROWN. And then on YouTube. And if you'd like to call in, feel free. 512-952-9489. It's all listed on everything so you can see it all. Okay. Why do I burp every podcast? All right. So let's move on to a Gus Van Sant movie. Since I've mentioned him twice, now I get to talk about a movie he made that I love. This movie, and a lot of people have seen. I know this for a fact. This movie is called My Private Idaho. My Private Idaho is, I think, a phenomenal film. It stars the late great River Phoenix, and in fact, I think it was River Phoenix's best role. It's good to see you too, Paul. Nice to see you too. Stay. Comment on the podcast. Give me a call. You have my number. I'm giving everybody my personal number on the internet, which seems like a big mistake. My Private Idaho is a fantastic film. I think it was River Phoenix's best performance. A lot of people talk about Stand By Me, which, don't get me wrong, was great. What do you think River Phoenix's best performance was? What was it? Yeah, it is. It's his best performance. It really is his best performance. Yeah, it's a good film, right? And so this has an amazing cast also, by the way. So basically the synopsis of My Private Idaho. Here, look, I did research and I have bookmarks and everything. So My Private Idaho is just filled with people. And I'm going to go ahead and read the summary just so everybody knows. Here we go, the Wikipedia. There we go. My Own Private Idaho is a 1991 American independent adventure drama film. It's so funny it said adventure in the Wikipedia because I was going to talk about Young Adventure on there. The film was written and directed by Gus Van Sant and loosely based on Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1, Henry IV, Part 2, and Henry V. The story follows two friends, Mike Waters and Scott Favor, as they embark on a journey of personal discovery that takes them from Portland, Oregon to Mike's hometown in Idaho, and then to Rome in search of Mike's mother. Here are the things it doesn't tell you in the summary. It doesn't tell you that they are male prostitutes. It does not tell you that River Phoenix's character, he is prone to fits of narcolepsy. In fact, the opening scene, which is unbelievable. The way this movie opens up is just about as perfect as you get for the movie it is. It could not have opened any better. The opening scene, you immediately not only are transformed into the movie, you are wholly steeped in the character, and you all of a sudden realize you are buckled in for this ride. The movie the cast is insane. The cast is absolutely insane for this movie. It is, of course, River Phoenix. You get a very young Keanu Reeves, Udo Kier, Jim Caviezel, Joaquin Phoenix, Tom Waits, Timothy Leary. I mean, it's insane how many people are in this movie, and it's so well done. So this is one of Gus Van Sant's early movies. You get a lot of flashback. And of course, because there's a search for the mother, you also, on top of that, have a separation of friendships happening. You have you have a growing apart of friendships that is also happening. You have one friend that is staying steeped in the drug and prostitution culture. You have one who actually is growing and becoming more mature and deciding to take the path that was set out for him to begin with before he strayed into that role. It deals with so many topics. It deals with the topic of course, friendship and growing apart from friends. It also deals with trying to find a maternal figure, or trying to have a maternal figure in your life. One of the terms I learned not too long ago was a term called attunement. Attunement is basically the emotion that becomes inherent in you due to the physical touch you have from your mother in the first 9 months of life, not of birth, not inside your stomach, after. It's called attunement. It's that actual physical touch you get from a mother after you are born. And it deals a lot with attunement. It deals a lot with the missing of a maternal figure. Paul Comden, 90s was a real strong time of magic, great talents combined when it came to movies. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. Especially early 90s. I think early 90s, there was amazing films that came out with some films were very, very independent, that you find there are actors today that you would not even believe this is where they came from. For instance, Keanu Reeves, very young. This is right after Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean, this is almost right after it, in which he plays this role of a male prostitute. It also deals with young adventure moving into mature needs. And I love that he used the term adventure in the Wikipedia, because I really do think that's what it is. I think as we get older, we do tend to evolve into mature needs rather than young adventure. And though there are times, and I think it's fair for me to say for 100% of us, as we get, 40s, 50s, whatever it is, there are these sparks that happen to us where we want that young adventure still, where we still kind of daydream off into it. Not saying it doesn't happen, not saying it can't happen, just saying that a lot of times our need for comfort will be much larger or outweigh our need for young adventure. And My Own Private Idaho deals with that. It's a great film. I don't like many Gus Van Sant films. I think this one and Elephant are the only two I really like. But this movie I more than like. This movie I love. Highly suggest it. Really think you should see it. And look at this. I'm perfect on time. I love it when I do this. And now we move on to our last movie suggestion. And this is a deep cut. So this is one that I'm almost positive nobody's seen besides me. I really do. I've seen this movie 4 times in my life. Each time I love it. Each time it is a blast to watch. Each time I am amazed that more people do not know about it, and I think more people should. Um, it is a movie wholly steeped in what I like to call rebelling against the excesses of the 80s. This movie is called Roadside Prophets. Roadside Prophets stars John Doe and Adam Horowitz. Why do you recognize these two names? Well, John Doe was the founder and bassist for the punk rock band X, and Adam Horowitz, as we know, is from the Beastie Boys. It is a phenomenal movie. It is a movie about, and yeah, I said phenomenal. Go and laugh it up, Bridget. Laugh it up. I said phenomenal. So here's the summary, just so we know. Two strangers meet on the road and travel through Nevada on motorcycles to find a elusive spot where they can dump another man's ashes. Okay, that's God. IMDb is horrible. That is a horrible summary of this movie. Okay, let's see if IMDb has. Let's see if Wikipedia has something, because that was just gross. I didn't like that. Let's see. Here we go. Plot. Here we go. Joe, a Harley riding factory worker, meets Dave, who tells him about a casino in the town of El Dorado before Dave is electrocuted in a video arcade. Following Dave's cremation, Joe decides to travel to Nevada to find Dave's beloved casino and spread his ashes in the desert to fulfill his last wish. While riding his motorcycle around Nevada, Joe meets Sam, who is traveling on his own motorcycle to find the Motel 9 in which his parents committed suicide. As Sam travels with Joe, the two develop an unlikely friendship and encounter numerous eccentric people during their travels. Wikipedia hit it out of the park with that one. Hit it out of the park. Another movie I'll have to, let's see. Paul commented Keanu really had polar opposites when it comes to his roles. Yes, he did. And it's another movie I'll have to catch. Absolutely should. Roadside Prophets is great. So Roadside Prophets came out around the time that especially everybody was revisiting Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Repair. Now, if you remember, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Repair comes out, of course, way before my generation is younger. And there was this resurgence of the 60s in about the late 80s to mid 90s. There truly was. You saw a lot of these hippies that had made a name for themselves in the 60s kind of coming back to be revisited in the 80s. And also the themes were as well. This is another adventure themed movie, of course. Now, just to prove my point here, okay? Just to prove my point of this revisitation of the 60s and this protesting of the excesses of the 80s in a movie, here is your cast. Of course, Arlo Guthrie, David Carradine, Timothy Leary, Abby Wool, who helped write Sid and Nancy. She's in it. She's the writer of it. Also, a very young Don Cheadle is in this movie. If you'll blink, you'll miss him, but he is in this movie, and it's just absolutely great. So this whole revisiting the 60s, if you notice, Arlo Guthrie's in it. Oh yeah, Timothy Leary is in this movie also, by the way, just like Timothy Leary is in My Own Private Idaho. There's this whole revisitation during this era of those whole like 60s like counterculture celebrities. This is a really good movie, and although there are scenes that are over the top and there are scenes that are absurd and ridiculous, like the scene in the diner with John Cusack and the eye patch, there is a heartfeltness to it. There is an emotion to it that is really nice and comforting to watch. You can see that even though the point is being shoved down your throat, it's being shoved down your throat in only the way the early 90s could do it. I really like this movie. I really like this movie a lot. I watched this movie at a perfect time in my life for the very first time. And I've continued, like I said, I've watched it, I think 4 times now. And every time I watch it, I love it. It's very comfortable. It's like a very comfortable blanket, even though it's absurd and corny and a lot. It's a lot. Like it's a lot of movie, you know. Adam Horowitz is really good. He's really good in it, and so is John Doe. It's a very well acted movie for its time. Um, and even though it was done on a very small budget, you can see what they were trying to do. You know what it reminds me a lot of? It's always reminded me a lot of Daniel Johnston, the singer. Um, you know, he did what he did with very basic instruments, generally just a piano or generally just a guitar, generally just one thing. But you could hear something larger behind it all. It's almost like you could hear an orchestration behind it all. And that's what this movie reminds me of. It's almost like somebody's doing something with the most basic tools that they have. And though they're doing this with what little they have, you can almost see the larger picture behind what they were doing. And that's what I like about this movie. That's what I like. It also deals with themes of, like, you know, death, the father and son relationship, the friend relationship, um, the um, the feeling sometimes that you have nothing, so fuck it, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want feeling, and I like that about it. There are really good themes behind it. So look at that. I made an hour out of this. Amazing. Um, so there it is. Those are 6 movies that you have not seen that I suggest. And we made it to Wednesday, and you made it to my podcast. And I want to thank all those who participated. Thank you for commenting there on Facebook. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Again, you can find me on YouTube under Brushing Teeth with Robert. You can find me on Instagram Live under 12 Brown. That's TWELVEBROWN. You can find me on Facebook under Ronin Brown, RONINBROWN. And I give out my phone number all the time, but I don't give it out at the end because it doesn't matter, because I'm ending it and you're not going to call into the show now anyways. So, so I'm not going to give that out again. But thank you very much. And I'm glad we made it to Wednesday. And I'm glad y'all made it to my podcast. And I'm glad people are paying attention. I'm glad people are listening. And I hope that y'all watch some of these films. So for the next podcast, which will be Sunday night at this time at 8 p.m., I am going to do a few things differently. I'm probably going to have intro music and outro music. So I'm excited about that. I'm working on it. I found some music that I can use that isn't copyrighted or trademarked, so I don't have to worry about getting cut off of anything. Also, well, that's really the only change. There really isn't a lot of changes. That's really the only one. I'm going to have some music. But thank you all very much for tuning in. I'm glad we made it midweek. You can make it the rest of the week. I'll see you on Sunday. I want y'all to be grateful for yourselves. I want you to be grateful for your food. I want you to be grateful for your drink. I want you to be grateful for each other. I want you to love yourselves, and I want you to hug the world, pat on the ass, tell it how much you appreciate it, and I'll tell you how much I appreciate you. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining me. We made it. All right. Very good. And then I have no outro music, so this is where I just hum, and I do things like this.